let's start talking about fractional notes. What do I mean by this? This is essentially an idea that I had. I don't know if other people have worked with something similar. I think this might be the first time it is shared. Otherwise, please correct me. But the idea is, well, how do we build a circle of thirds? We just need to alternate between +4 and +3. But sometimes we begin with +4 and sometimes we begin with +3. And that depends on whether we start on like a major or like a minor. And so what I would like to do is use numbers to be able to tell the major and the minor apart. So at the moment, 0 is both C major and C minor, and I want to tell them apart. And what I think I notice is that, well, what if we just did plus 3.5 instead of doing +3 and +4? And what's going to happen is that if we start at 0 and we start adding 3.5, we have, well, 0, 3.5, 7, 10.5. And then I can collapse this by taking the floor. So that's the lowest number, the lowest integer below our decimal number. And I get 0, 3, 7, 10, which is our minor chord. However, if I start with 0.5 instead, I get to 4, to 7.5, and to 11, which when I collapse, that gives us 0, 4, 7, 11. That's our major chord. Okay, so this is the craziest idea ever. So what are fractional notes in this context? So the idea is that you have a note that includes a fraction. In this case, it's like it's going to be either n plus 0/2 for minor chords, or n plus 1/2 for major chords. Well, let's just see what we can start doing with that. So here I have n, so 0 to 5. I'm multiplying it by 3.5. That's going to be our core third interval. And then I'm adding 3.5. Well, actually, let's just add 0 for now. And then we are flooring it. And then we're doing the same as before, just same chromatic, same piano, same pitch wheel. So this is going to play through the circle of thirds. So that's going to play our major triad. Well, in this case, it's going to be our minor triad, and then our minor seventh, and then our minor ninth, and so on. Let's see how it sounds. And so what it's doing, it is beginning here at 0, then going to 3.5, because that's just 1 multiplied by 3.5. Oh, by the way, this is just like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we add 0, so that's our base. And then we go 2 times 3.5, that should be our seventh. And at the end, we floor it, right? But what happens if we go instead to 0.5? That should be our major. And we see that it is indeed our major. But now what if we add 3.5 to that? We should get 4, right? And that should be moving once in this direction. But what if we now remove 0.5 from that? That should move us from minor to major, but by stepping downwards. Oops. And so as you can see, by using this method and using these fractional intervals, or these fractional notes, we can kind of construct both major and minor chords, which is pretty cool. This also allows us to analyze what I call fractional intervals, right? So for example, we saw the plus 3.5. That's our third interval, because it lets us move from, for example, and so now this 3.5 is going to be what moves us from C to E. So from C, once again, that's major. Both of these should be minor. Both of these should be major. Here I know that G is dominant, but this is just the triads for now, so that's still major. This one is minor. And we're just gonna call B minor for now, because the diminished sound is closer to the minor than to the major. And so we have this interval of plus 3.5 that is going from a major to a minor one by stepping by 2, which is also what happens from F to A and from G to B. But it also happens when we move from a minor one to a major one that is slightly closer, like this one or like this one, right? So from going from a major to a minor one, we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4. But when going from a minor to a major, we do 1, 2, 3. And that's because C major would be like 0.5, because the majors are like a 0.5, whereas the minor, that's 1, 2.0 because it's minor. E minor would be 4.0. F major would be 5.5. G major would be 7.5. A minor would be 789.0. And B minor, that should be 11.0. And so going from 0.5 to 4.0, that is 3.5. And the same happens for pretty much all of them, right? Even from A minor going to A major, so 9.0 plus 3.5, that is 12.5, which is, well, 0.5 basically. And so this third interval is like very common. Of course, we're going to have exceptions, which is going to be with this B minor, right? So when we go from minor to minor by jumping 1, 2, 3, that is just a plus 3. But there are other intervals that are rather common. So one of them, for example, would be plus 1.5. And that's what's happening from C to D, from E to F, from G to A, so that's 7.5 plus 1.5 is 9, and from B minor to C major, right? And we also have plus 1.0, which is rather common. For example, going from D to E, that's just, oh, sorry, not 1.0, 2.0. Or going from A to B. And so there are going to be intervals that we're going to be seeing a lot of, whereas there are some other intervals like plus 0.5 or plus 1.0 that we don't see. And so some of these intervals are present in the scale, which we're going to call the diatonic intervals, whereas others are not going to be in the scale. Okay. So why would we be interested in this at all? Well, we saw one of the things is we can escape the scale just by using movement along the circle of thirds. And that's because, well, plus 3.5, if you keep adding this, you don't get 12. Right? And so that's what's happening, that if you keep moving by thirds, eventually you're gonna need to do a plus 3.0 to stay, but you can escape by doing a plus 3.5 instead. And so that's one way. Another one is that you can do, you can start thinking about these intervals and how they work here, and maybe play around with them. So for example, we do have plus 1.5 is quite common, but you don't often do plus 1.5, plus 1.5, plus 1.5, plus 1.5, right? Because there's only one case where there's two plus 1.5s back to back. All the other times you need to alternate them if you want to stay in the scale. But if you repeat the same thing multiple times, that's going to pull you out of the scale, but it will still sound quite interesting and quite cohesive, precisely because we are doing the same thing at every step. Yeah, so that's the kind of things where these intervals can be interesting. But one thing you will notice that this is focusing a lot on the majors and the minors. And if we look back at our origin, we have the dominant and the diminished. So somehow this fractional kind of thing is like a nice idea, but it doesn't quite match our natural scale. It doesn't match our different modes that we have. But what if I told you that we could go beyond?